We've started our Tackle Some Fishing just to kind of cover all things Toledo area Kayak Anglers League, which is tackle. As much, and some other things, maybe about as much as we think we know about fishing, or share some ideas along the way. And then a lot of some fishing things. We're going to talk about tournaments, do breakdowns of tournaments, but it's all over. I myself, I've been fishing forever. I was a shore fisherman forever. I bought a kayak in 2015 just because I was tired of being on a bank and going, there's fish over there that I can't get to from here. Yeah. How can I do that? And I discovered kayaks. And I'm on my third one, and I love it. I love everything about it. I love fishing, and again, this gets me out different places of the water. And that's kind of it for that. How about you? How'd you get started in this kayak fishing?
So it was
stuff
kind of similar. I was a bank fisherman pretty much my whole life. Never owned a boat. But I always wanted to own a kayak because I thought well, that's a way around ever having to own a boat. Because I'm I just never foresee myself owning a boat. And so I bought just a cheap Pelican, kind of on a whim, because I had started watching Greg Blanchard videos, and I'm just wait, he's catching all these fish, and I'm I could be not on the bank anymore. So I went out and bought it, and the second thing I ever did in that kayak, I only took it out once. The second thing I ever did in it was fish a tournament. And it was cool. A tournament at East Harbor, and there was 90 participants, and I got 32nd or 33rd, and I thought, oh, this is pretty easy. And then the next tournament I did, I skunked.
Yeah.
Finished 92nd out of 97 people. So I figured out really quick, oh, okay, sometimes it is luck.
And, a little bit.
And but after 1 year of kayaking, I went and got a pedal drive because I spent more time kayaking than I did actually fishing, because that Pelican weighed about 40 pounds, and it was not a great vessel for fishing. Fine for kayaking, not for fishing. So sit on top is definitely the way to go wherever you're at with the kayak. If you're trying to fish in a sit-in, you're going to have a fun day kayaking, not so much fishing.
Some guys do it yet, but for me, I'm just uncomfortable. I mean, even my first kayak, it was so small, and the seat, there wasn't a seat really. It just kind of, you sat in it basically anyway. Yeah. Just super uncomfortable. But that's another tangent. We can go off another time. Tackle. Gee, why did we start tackle? Actually, it even comes with just by chance meeting Mitchell. I think I remember. I think I saw you post a question to one of the anglers, where you catching all your fish or something like that, and somehow we got. I can't even remember exactly. Maybe you did. We started conversing through Facebook and messages, and I think you asked me, where do I fish around here? Yeah. I started giving you some ideas, and you told me where you fish. And then just being out and even doing BKFT events, I started recognizing there's a lot of kayak anglers in Northwest Ohio. Yeah. And I don't know all the places to fish in this area. And, I think we get overlooked because there aren't, we don't have big lakes. We've got Lake Erie, obviously, and East West Harbor. That's our great lake up here and stuff like that. But so I just got away and said, hey, I think I messaged Mitchell here. I said, what would you think if we started the league, here in Ohio, and just kind of did a radius? We got to keep it to this part, because even a lot of people talk Northwest Ohio, and they go all the way down to Columbus, and it's well, no, 2 hours away is. I want even smaller north. So we shrunk Northwest Ohio. Put it out on Facebook, and I think we started getting people just like that wanting to say, yeah, great idea.
I was always surprised, just because I didn't know anyone in the area that kayak fished at all, and most people I knew that fished were either bank fishermen or no longer lived in the area. So once we got that rolling, and we had some pretty loyal people all year, fished the first year of events, and then as the off season approached, we've had a bunch of people join the Facebook page. Yeah. So that's been
up to 107 right now.
Yeah, which is, I'm really surprised, because it probably started with 7. So who knows what the first couple events will be for draw, but I'm thinking a bigger turnout than last year, and I think we got a really nice schedule to talk about. But I guess I'll have it pulled up on my phone.
I was going to say, do you have the schedule? Yeah. I was thinking of that too. I know we have a schedule here someplace. I have it on my phone. But and last year I think I figured out the average. We averaged like, 7 to 8 guys per event.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we were fishing small little reservoirs in the area. They're Wednesday evenings. Our bigger events, we had up to 14, 15 anglers at our biggest event. People would say, well, gee, compared, but it was fun. I think we're going. We got just this spring. We had like 30 I bet. Since the Facebook.
Oh yeah, definitely. But from the start to now, it's.
I think getting the schedule out helped us there.
Yep, definitely. So first event of the year, kind of a month-long event. We'll talk about that later on the Facebook page. It's not going to be AOI, so it's
March for that, right?
End of March towards the
April.
End of April. Right. So, which leads to our first event, which is East West Harbor, April 27th.
I was going to add a little bit on that. We want to do a charity event for that. Actually, I've kind of got everything in works. That's when we're going to do that. The charity we're going to use is the Toledo Area Humane Society. All proceeds for that. So all entry fees we're going to collect for that. We'll maybe bump our entry fee up $5 from what it normally is. But that's going to be a minimum. A lot more details come up, but that's a minimum. If you want to give more when that time comes, all that proceeds is all going to be turned over right away to Toledo Humane Society. Prize packages. We've already got some things. We're working on a few more. One that blew me out of the water, St. Croix. They're giving us a prize package for that. Fisherman Central.
Fisherman Central is you're getting a prize from them.
Fin Feather Fur Outfitters, which is also one of our main sponsors. They sponsored us last year, gave us gift cards and things like that. They're on board against this year, so we'll use some of those gift cards roll into a prize package. Strictly Sail and Kayak out of Cincinnati, our good friends down there. She's running 2 leagues this year, but Brian Casey, he's I got a hold of him one day. He said, "Yeah, I'll give you some." He's going to send me up some gift cards too for that. A couple other things that tie in a couple of promotions we have. We have a possibility of getting something from Robohawk. You've seen if you follow our Facebook page. If not, if you use TAKAL15 with the Robohawk purchase, you get 15% discount. Enough sales generated from that, they may give us something for our charity event. Another one similar to that is Kayak Kushion. They actually said you get a 10% discount on that one, right?
Yep.
And that's TAKAL10 for that discount. And we sell 10 of them. They're going to throw in a kayak cushion for us. So you can help us out, help get more people in for that charity event. And that's just something I kind of want to do. I know a lot of other leagues do it. I thought that'd be kind of cool, let's give something back to people. And I'm a big dog person. You might see a couple of them walking around here, one a little later, maybe not. One of them I got from Toledo Humane Society. I just think it's one of those good things to do. So that's kind of how we're going to do that.
Not as quite the size of a dog. I also got my cat from Toledo
there you go.
Humane Society, although he thinks sometimes he's a dog. So.
They do have cats too. I don't count them. Yeah, dog guy here,
but with that, both of those codes will be in the description of this video, so feel free to use those to help us get there, increase that. But this will be for the winner of this event. This is probably going to be the biggest prize we've had for any of our tournaments. It's going to be pretty big, bigger than any payout you might have gotten last year if you participated. It's a lot of great stuff, and we were really surprised how quick people were to get back to us on this. That's what makes this so cool, is that you will get more than you would have ever gotten in any payments last year. So that's pretty awesome.
And, those are just the ones we've got now. I know I got a couple others that I'm kind of working with. I think Mitchell has said too. So who knows what we might have at that time. And
last year
if you're watching this and you have a company that wants to go, hey, I'll give something. Give us a message. Get a hold of us on Facebook or something like that. Or, comment in the YouTube in the comments down there. We'd be glad to bring you on board. I just think it'd be really cool.
So that's first event. We'll talk a little bit about East West Harbor itself, though. If you fish in Ohio, you'll probably know about East West Harbor, that area. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's the best lake to bass fish in Ohio because Lake Erie exists, but it's part of Lake Erie, and I don't really know a better place to have a pretty guaranteed nice day on the water. I think I've had one day there where it was no good. And it was because it was in March. But
and this will be pre-spawn, early April. or, actually end of April.
End of April, that's going to be pretty prime.
I mean, if you've, I know some past tournaments are held, kayak tournaments been around that time. If you fished East-West Harbor in April, end of April, May, it's on. It's great. It's hot. It's hot that time of year.
I had two days last year where I was just fun fishing. It was just nonstop action for 5 hours, and that was with 10 bass boats fishing around me. So you're not going to have any trouble getting into fish. It's not really a matter if you're going to catch them. It's just a matter if you're going to be the one to catch the big ones. So
it's our gem up here in Northwest Ohio. It's one we're glad to say, yep, that's our lake.
Yeah, 100%. So then we're going to move on to May 5th. Cinco de Mayo, we're going to go to Nettle Lake, possibly the farthest point you can get and still be in Ohio and fish in a lake that's all in Ohio. So.
Yeah, it's with a lot of these other ones we won't talk about them too much, but way Northwest Ohio, fun lake. I fished there a few times. We did a tournament last year. Some big fish. Again, springtime, you're going to get a lot more. I know some guys catch a lot of fish up there, and it's early enough in the year. If you ever fish Nettle Lake in the summer, the unique thing about it is at 10 a.m. all the boat traffic starts. It's a kind of a live on the lake type place, and the boats just kind of start circling around. The jet skis come out, but I don't think any of them will out there be before Memorial Day.
No,
I can't say that for sure.
That water is going to be awfully cold.
I think we'll be safe on May 5th.
Yeah. And then we get to one of my favorite events, mostly because last year I finished second place at both of them, narrowly not getting first the second time, but it's titled MOM, which is an acronym for several different small bodies of water around the Oregon, Ohio area. And those different bodies of water will be listed with the event page, but just kind of Oregon, Ohio area. Someone in a comment recently suggested us changing it to Mommy because there's a pond on a road that starts with Y, so we'll have to think about that. Add one more place, especially if we get a little more interest for that event. It'll be easier for people to spread out.
Each one of those places are not, again, not big, but that's how we set up a lot of our tournaments. There's small little bodies that, some of them are only, if we got 20 people that showed up to some of our Wednesday, which we'll take it, we'll figure it out, but be a little crowded sometimes.
It'll be crowded, but with that event, you'll have the ability to not have to fish by somebody. And last year, I think we had 3 or 4 limits from that event that were pretty good sized limits, but not at the same places too. Yeah. So not all from one body of water, which was that's the cool part about it. You don't really know.
My favorite body of water washed out both times I tried to fish and didn't catch a thing. Should have stayed in a different one.
But and then after that, we're going to move, sticking in May. May's kind of our big month. May 19th, Harrison Lake. I've only been there once myself. You can probably.
I camp there a lot. I have fished there some. It's always this lake. If you've ever been there, it's a great campground. It's a great record. Fun little lake. I believe there's no motors allowed, so it's pretty quiet like that way. But it's always you look around and say there should be bass in here. And I talked to actually one of our members, Kevin Renner, has fished there a lot, and there are bass there. They hold tournaments there, little boat tournament stuff there, and the bass population is pretty good accordingly. So we're going to give it a try. We're going to see, again, springtime, hopefully up the odds there.
Yeah. It's a big catfish lake, so there's probably going to be some bycatches.
Yeah, great crappie lake if you don't want to catch bass that day and you just want to come up and join us and fish for crappie.
And then last event in May is going to be Cullen Park. Now, this is going to be an interesting one because this is kind of the only time we're really venturing nearly into Lake Erie here. But it'll be an interesting one because it's going to open up the opportunity to. I don't know. There might be potential to get some smallmouth in this event.
There could be.
Which we didn't have a single smallmouth checked in last year, so this will be first opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, that's another one. It's a little bassy fishing area and stuff like that. So fished there a couple times, got a few.
So that'll be an interesting one. And then June 9th, we go back to East-West Harbor. Don't really need to go further into that. We're expecting that to be one of the bigger events of the year. For the time of year, and also because the OKF is going to have their tournament a week after that. So
and you need to pre-fish, right, guys?
That's true. So if you need a pre-fish, there's going to be a tournament to give you a chance to warm up, and there won't be 90 people in it, or at least we don't think so.
95 maybe.
Yeah. And then a little break, middle of June, we're going to go to Beaver Creek Reservoir, which kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but another place where you could get a largemouth, you could get a smallmouth. So it's got potential in that. It's not the deepest reservoir, but it's not super shallow either. So it's going to give a lot of different opportunities for different styles of fishing.
And that one fits perfect into that, areas up here that you might not be aware of or you haven't fished. One of the fun things I liked about last year's amount of our guys that fished tournaments said, like, I've never fished here before. Yeah. And there are places that I've fished a lot of times or one that I hadn't, and stuff like that. So, it kind of fits into our overall idea of tackle, getting guys to have fun, who like to compete on waters they might know of and discover a little bit more of Northwest Ohio fishing.
Yeah, because there is a surprising amount of places that people don't know exist, and some of these are just getting put on like ODNR's website, like things that like have been there, they're just not well known. Yeah. And that now we're going to move out of Ohio for the first time, end of June, June 23rd, going to Hudson Lake in Michigan. Now, this body of water, clarity-wise, is probably going to be similar to some of the places we fish in Ohio. It's not a clear lake. It's fairly muddy, but it's two things make this lake interesting. One, it's probably your best shot at catching a muskie if you live in the Toledo area. It's only about 45 minutes from Toledo, and it has a lot of muskies in it, which typically when you have a lake with a lot of muskies, there's also going to be a good population of bass. Not very few places are you going to go where there's muskie and there's not bass. And so your chance at catching fish at 10,000 casts while you're doing a bass tournament, that's kind of cool. But there's lots of largemouth in there as well. I used to follow someone on an old Ohio fish there often, and he would have 50 fish days for bass. And it doesn't get a lot of pressure. It's I think a no horse lake.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think so.
It's something where it's like electric motor only or something like that. So it's gonna be quiet. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it'll be nice. It's got a lot of different opportunities there too.
And for those who go on Michigan, now I gotta, I live in Ohio. If you need you'll need to get a license. One thing about that, again, when we first started talking tackle, it's like, well, what should our area be in? I came up, well, let's do a 90-mile radius, except let's exclude Michigan right now because, force people to buy a license for up there. But we also want to bring in, I know there's a lot of anglers in Michigan, maybe give them a chance so they don't have to buy an Ohio license, give them at least one shot there. And we'll talk a little bit about our Angler of the Year points and how you do that. Just know that this one will not count towards those points. Just because it is in Michigan and, I need to fish all the lakes or something, there's a number you have to fish and you're going to make me spend an extra license to go up there and fish the lake to get Angler of the Year. So we're just not going to count points for this one, but hopefully we'll get a good turnout because, again, there's a lake that, people go like, oh, I've heard about that, but never fished it. Well, now I got a little bit more incentive to go do so.
And there's a lot of lakes in Michigan that are hour or less from Toledo area, so that's something for the 2025 season. We'll definitely look into some of those. Maybe doing one event like Irish Hills. There's 6 or 7 lakes where you could choose from. We could have a time where you wouldn't ever see anybody else in the event potentially. That would be a really cool one to do. And that's, like I said, less than an hour from the Toledo area. Quick trip up 23 or going up through Adrian. After that, we have in July, we got a little bit of a gap. We'll be going to the Blanchard River in Findlay. Now, this one, we have it at TBD on the schedule just because you never know what rivers will be like in the summer. We don't want to have a river event and it's unfishable. So there's a backup plan in place, but we would rather have a river event on here because we really haven't had that. So
if you fished it, Blanchard's a fun little river, a lot of smallmouth. Unknown, a lot of smallmouth in there if you get to the right stretch, and some of you probably already know of it, but that's our smallmouth event and river event because we're kayakers, we're supposed to be on the river, right?
Yeah, supposed to be. I've yet to take any of my kayaks on a river yet. well, I'm a native, and they're not exactly the most river-friendly kayak, but the Blanchard River would probably be a good intro one. It's not like going into the Maumee or something like that.
Yeah, it's not threatening in any.
Much. I think that or the Huron River up in Michigan is another place I thought about going around a little bit. It's kind of pretty slow flow. After that, we're going to go back to the Rest Haven Wildlife Area. July 10th, we had an event there last year. One of my favorite events of the year because of how many people we had all in one body of water. And I think I talked to almost everybody that was in the tournament, which I don't think happened all year, but it was just kind of funny in that way. And we actually had some monster bass checked in for that event, where I think we had over 10. I think we had 10 for that event. And we had, I think, 6 or 7 bass that were 17 inches or bigger. Which
all from the same body. I mean, if you've ever been to Rest Haven, there's 10 bodies of water you could choose from. Some aren't, obviously, some, to be honest, aren't fishable. And everybody but one angler fished on the one reservoir, the number 10 that we went on. And it's this big racetrack, really. It's got flooded timber in the middle, and then this area.
I think I went around it twice.
Yeah, that you can just kind of go around, and there's a lot of holes. But yeah, it was like I had a terrible evening that night. But I get back to the ramp and checking that these guys are catching. Everyone caught huge fish, so that was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting because I thought going towards the ramp, I thought maybe I had the winning bag, and I get back and I talked to 2 guys who caught some toads, and then we had someone that only caught 1 fish, but it was I think it almost was big fish of the whole tournament. Yeah. So it was a interesting day. It was not a fast day for anybody, but it was a lot of big fish.
It was hot.
It was very hot. I do remember that, but it was July, just like this one.
Yep.
And then after that, we're moving to what might be my favorite event on the whole schedule, which is Leauge. I like Leauge. It's the land of the 12-inch bass, and for that reason, we're doing a 1 lure tournament, which means you can fish 1 style of lure the entire day, and that is it. So if you choose a jig, so like you say it's a football jig, you have the jig and whatever trailer that is. Now you can change colors, but it's got to be that same style the whole day. If you're throwing a spinnerbait and you have a trailer, same spinnerbait style, same trailer. But you can choose different colors, stuff like that.
Colors can change, but if you're going to chatterbait, if you're throwing chatterbait, you're not switching up to anything else. That's what you throw. And I think we're going to do a Major League Fishing style of that one too. That's going to be in 12-inch minimum, did we say? Yeah,
12-inch minimum, as many as you can catch. And
he's judging them all.
So be nice to me on that event.
So we got a kind of way we're going to do that. We're playing with some ways to help us out in the judging of that, and might involve some of you as anglers. But I think that's just going to be fun, a little different. Add a little different challenge to it. I think it's like, what do you have the most confidence in? What's that one lure? You don't have to bring that much stuff then. And we'll check it all before we start out. Make sure no one's cheating. What do you got in your tackle? What do you got there? And that's what you got to fish with.
And I think you mentioned MLF. It was inspired by MLF's former their tournament style they used to do, which they don't.
They are back to that again.
Yeah. Oh, they're going back to it.
They're back to every fish counts.
Okay, so they're being a little wishy-washy, but it's also inspired by some videos I saw on YouTube. Out in California, they do frogs only tournaments, and so I thought we should do a 1 lure tournament, and you get to choose the lure because if we did a frogs only, I don't think I would fish it, but especially not at Leauge, because trying to catch a bunch of 12-inch bass on a frog is that takes some skill. I'll say that. After that, we have this one I thought was interesting because I've definitely never fished either of these places, and that's the Silver Rock Quarry and Aldrich Pond. I got nothing to say about either of these places.
So Silver Rock Quarry is in Gibsonburg. For those that are familiar with it, that is City of Gibsonburg charges a membership to be able to fish on Silver Rock. It's still a public lake. You need to buy a permit. That's one of the reasons we added. It's a big old limestone quarry. If you fish there, it's got some really big smallmouth bass in there. It's got largemouth too, but predominantly it's a clear. If you've ever fished a quarry, it's almost intimidating. Sometimes you're, going around. You can see 20 feet down into the water, and there's 20 feet below that in places. I mean, it's a deep old quarry. And then Aldrich Pond is kind of in that area. I'll probably get in trouble from the guy who first introduced me to Aldrich Pond because he, I kind of said I won't tell too many people about it, and now I'm telling a whole bunch of people about it. But it's one of those when they built the expressway. Turnpike. One of the waterways they did that, and it's got some nice bass in there too. So, you get to choose one of those. Hopefully, we'll get an even amount of both of them and see what we can do. It's an evening one, so
that's definitely a missed opportunity in a lot of places in Ohio. All those ponds are along the sides of the turnpike and the highway. Most of them are not. You can't fish them, and there's got to be lunkers in there, and they're just. It's just somebody owns them, or like you can't even get to them. There's one in Bowling Green. I fished at when I was in school, that if you went there first week of April, you go catch 20 bass, no problem. But then as soon as the weeds came up, you couldn't even fish it because they would go out 30 feet into the lake. If you could put a kayak on that, you would just absolutely hammer them, but there's no boats allowed.
Nope.
Also right next to a juvenile delinquent center, so I don't think I would try to break their rules.
There's an adult center right next to it too, so.
I'm not going to try to break the lake rules next to where there's probably at least 10 policemen.
Yeah.
After that, we got 2 events in August. We have the Lima Reservoirs and then Upper Sandusky. So
Lima's new to us.
Yeah, that's a new one.
I know there's some nice reservoirs down there from word of mouth that, some good fishing goes on there. Kind of stretch us a little bit further that direction. So those of you in the southern, more central part of the state, that Cincinnati area, don't have to go quite as far in the Dayton area. Come up and join us for an event.
Yeah, I know a few people from Tackle will probably appreciate going down there. We got a couple people, Finley and farther south, that fished our event. So.
And the last one, I'm sorry, was Upper Sandusky.
Upper Sandusky. Now, you want to talk a little bit about last year?
That was so I fished that reservoir quite a bit. Well, there's 2 reservoirs. One of them's really good for fishing, and the other one isn't. We had 8 guys last year. 3 of them thought they'd choose the one, and before the event was over, they were all in the other one. I'm not going to tell you which one. You can figure it out. But that was an interesting tournament because I don't think anyone caught a limit. I think we had 1 limit. You can correct me if I'm wrong in comments, but we had 3 bass that night caught over 20 inches. Yeah. And we're all like, I think each guy who probably caught it was so like, oh, I got big bass of the day. And mine was like towards the end, I was one of the lucky ones. Towards the end of the evening, I pulled it up and I lost by an inch or more. And mine was a 20 and a half, maybe, or something like that. It was like, so we had 3.
I think I was judging, I didn't participate now, and I was judging it, and I was looking at them, I'm like, the 3 biggest bass from this tournament would have beat any of the big bass from the rest of the tournaments of the year. So the 3rd biggest bass that night would have won big bass any other night, which I thought that was crazy. But I guess
I'm telling the whole world about it before the tournament even starts. So I'll go there, fish it out now.
But there's a reason why almost no one caught a limit, is because those big bass like that are wily. They're not stupid. There's a reason they're that big. So just because a place has big bass doesn't mean you're going to catch the big bass.
True.
So it's a lot of times those places like that are tough, but it's rewarding. So we told you about La Suana. You go out and catch 5 bass, staple them together to equal one of those bass from Upper Sandusky. But I've had days at La Suana I've caught 80 bass, but I don't think one of them was over 14 inches. Yeah. So it's that's a great way to do that. And then last event of the year, the tackle box, that's invite only. You got to qualify for that through AOI points, and that's going to be at East West Harbor, of course. September is a tough time in Ohio, anywhere you go, but that's kind of one of the places where even a tough day there, you're still going to probably catch some fish. And as long as we don't have some wicked weather. Last year was almost kind of hot. It was a little surprising. But I've had some decent days there later on in the year. And most places, a lot of the bigger bodies of water are having turnover and other stuff like that in September or getting close to it. So it's interesting time of year.
Did you want to pull up the AOI? Oh, you got that handy there.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Guess I could have planned that part a little bit better. So we do Angler of the Year. That also, gets awarded at the tackle box. That's our tournament champion, our season-long ending champion. While he's looking at that, I will also add. So we added last year after we were done. I got a hold of Central Ohio Kayak Fishing League, the director there, Dietrich Nada, and shout out to him, great guy. And I just started thinking, I'm a competitive guy. I said, hey, you know, you do a weekly league. What if we did a team challenge in some way? Oh, let's pick a lake and maybe, you know, top 4, top 5 guys get together and we fish. So we ended up doing that. We also invited Ohio Kayak Open Series. So we had 3 teams, 4 guys each. We got our, you know what, handed to us because I think we caught 2, maybe 3 fish out of our.
It was a
4
tough
anglers.
day for
It was
everybody.
a terrible. Those who fished it, it was at Clear Fork Reservoir, where I had some success. But anyway, we're doing that again. I know us in Central Ohio are going to do it. We're going to reach out to a couple other leagues. We might have 3 teams again, 3, 4, 5. We might get up to 5. But
it's a lot of leagues in Ohio.
Yeah, we're finding out more leagues, and we'll probably invite them all. The other quick thing to do that, and we kind of didn't mention this at the beginning, but the one stipulation, probably the biggest stipulation for fishing a tackle event is it's human powered only.
Yeah.
Some of you guys go, oh, you can send me your comments, whatever. I've heard them all already. But, Mitchell and I really feel strongly about that. We don't need to give you our reasons because we've been through it all, and we're not here to argue about that. But
not only that, but like almost none of the places we fish, you're really going to have trouble getting around. We're not fishing big water. The biggest water we're going to fish is East-West Harbor.
Yeah, so that's one thing, So if you come and you got your motor hooked up, well, take it off beforehand, stuff like that. But again, I think, a lot of guys that fished this last year are guys that do a lot of events use motor. They're saying, I don't care, I'll take it off. And we got some guys who joined us and gals. My wife fishes along with us, and that's one thing she likes about it because she doesn't want a motor on her kayak either. And, and a couple other women, I think, are in the kind of same boat, and guys too are saying like, yeah, this is cool. Let's just fish. I don't want.
Yeah, and Central Ohio, they have the same rules too. So a lot of.
So when we do our showdown or a little tournament that we do, our team thing, it's a human powered only.
Yeah, and Kano, which is another kayak trail in Ohio. They're in Northeast Ohio. They have a pretty decent following, but they got a lot of great lakes out there. That might be one we reach out to also. So for AOI, you have your top 8 events are going to count to your points, and you must fish a minimum of 6 events in order to qualify. Now, the top 12 in points will qualify automatically. And then if you won an event and fish 6 events, you'd also qualify. If for some reason you weren't in the top 12, now I imagine you'd be in the top 12 if you won an event, unless you had like the best day of your life and got goose eggs the rest of the year, which is possible, but unlikely.
That's how my year finished.
Everybody has, that is one thing about the tackle events. I got a limit in every tackle event, but I didn't find myself on the top of the podium. So that's the one thing I'm definitely going for myself this year. So that's how to qualify. You can look at the rules on our page about the little ins and outs of that. So you got to fish 8 events. And in total, we have, I'm going to just count it up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 events that count towards AOI. So you have to it's fishing a little over half. So if you fished all of them, you'd have chances to upgrade your points. So it's definitely incentive to fish more than 8 or more than 6. But just know we don't want to hamper somebody that's done really well or came in halfway through the season. We had a few people that didn't fish all the events, but they had some really great finishes, and penalizing somebody that didn't know about it until halfway through. Just like, well, you didn't join right at the beginning, so tough luck for you. And that if we had done this last year, it was one of our anglers that had some great finishes. So it's not everybody's going to know about the tournaments until they start going. So definitely a way to get more people involved, and that's pretty typical if you look at a lot of trails around the country. They don't make you fish every single event to qualify for the championship. So have they determined a lake for the Royal Showdown yet, or is that still TBD? Knox Lake is what we're gonna officially kind of decided on. We try to keep something, equidistant between all of us. Again, Central Ohio and TAKAL were the 2 that kind of started it. But again, honestly, for us to get a big event like that and have people come all the way up here, we'd have to do east-west, and that's almost unfair because I think we probably fish it more than anybody else. So it's kind of trying to get someplace that
you
little
know,
unfamiliar
they're
for
not
everybody.
fishing with all the time. It's
Yeah.
been a while since any, one of our past leagues has done any tournaments on Knox.
Yeah, I
It's
can't
a
remember
pretty good
anything on tourney action.
and it's pretty much centrally located. I know it is a few hours from Columbus area. It's probably,
yeah,
it's
an hour and a half, 2 hours.
It's probably a little closer to Columbus, but you're not going to pick a perfect spot.
No.
But and Clear Fork was probably closer to Columbus too, and no one did last year. So it kind of depends on.
It's the time of year too, but I think Knox is maybe a little darker than Clear Fork, so that might help us a little bit.
It was fun. We got to know some new anglers and talk to some of them and learn about some fishing from one of them, and it's what kayak fishing's all about, and fishing's all about in general is getting to know people, sharing some information, sharing some knowledge, and that sort of thing I like about Tackle. I started up, and I know some anglers that I would have never met any other time. I talked to them other ways. I learned stuff from them. Maybe they learned something from me. Got a chance again to fish some bodies of water they've never fished before. Try some different techniques, and learn how to compete a little bit. I think that's fun. Learning, and there's no pressure. It's the pressure you put on yourself. If you think you want to win every one, well, good. Mitchell talked about he did catch the limit. That's always my goal. Catch the limit, and I did well for a while and not so well sometimes. But
yes, I think that might be something I may even think about for future events. Is that a lot of times I was always focusing on getting the limit, and maybe sometimes I should have been focusing on looking for bigger fish, because that's one thing. I've had very few I've fished, I don't know, probably 20, 25 tournaments, and I've had very few tournaments where I didn't get a limit, but I didn't have a lot of tournaments where I did particularly like high up in the leaderboard. Probably the best I've done for any kind of event with a large amount of people was this first tournament I ever fished, and then the last year, a season-long event, I had over 180 inches for my top 10. But that's for a whole year, so that's not exactly like conducive to like a single-day tournament rationale. So
Lost Land tournament, you'll get 180 inches out of that one, right?
Maybe if I catch
180
20, 25, 30 bass, I can get that. We'll see.
All right.
So that for this video, it's going to be on my channel, but all future videos for the tackle related, they're going to be on a separate channel. That's going to be posted in the link to this video as well. It'll be dual posted, but that's where all those videos are going to go. I wanted to put it on my channel first here, just that way if any of you guys watch my fishing videos, you'd know I'd be doing this over on a different channel. And then for everyone that's on the Facebook page, just know that'll be over there. Every time we do an episode, we'll post it.
He'll still be doing his stuff together. We'll get together and do the Tackle Some Fishing channel. And I got my GoPro for Christmas, so who knows, maybe this summer you'll see a channel of me alone and you can go like, what's he talking about? But no, that'll be fun.
And I know there's a few other people in the tackle saying that do GoPro as well, and I think some of them have gotten a little more interested in filming their stuff. Kevin Renner, of course, Catching with Kevin. That's another channel you should check out. He catches fish. There's a reason that's his YouTube name. I think I just watched his last video. He's catching steelhead. I don't know why he's still fishing right now, but I think
because he's catching steelhead.
He's catching fish.
If you're catching, then you're fishing.
I think I'd be freezing if I was out right now.
You never go fishing with Kevin. I think it's always catching with Kevin.
Yes. Or watching him catch fish.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, and look out for the next episode. I don't know if we're going to have a super regular schedule, but we'll always give advance notice when we have one.
Have a good night. Good week. Good whatever.